During the current pandemic, a good many businesses are having to shut down. But in Hapton, there's a firm there that have been asked by the government to stay operational. That's because they provide special materials for use in hospitals, both here and around the world. For over 30 years, Panaz have made fabrics for use in the hospitality, healthcare and education industries. Now, though, in lockdown, they're focusing on making coronavirus-resistant fabrics. Well, Carmel Satterthwaite is the UK sales director. She told me about the company.
Panaz have been supplying fabrics to the NHS for about 30 years. And among those are cubicle curtain fabrics and upholsteries. And some 15 or so years ago, we saw the value of incorporating an antimicrobial within them to help reduce routes to infection within hospital settings, or indeed actually in hotels, workplaces, that kind of anywhere they're placed, because hospital-acquired infection was becoming a growing concern. I don't know if you remember the headlines of a number of years ago. It was MRSA, it was Clostridium difficile. There was the fear that actually cross-contamination within hospitals was becoming a problem and creating what was called a Superbook. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. The worry as well surrounded it, wasn't there?
A lot of worry surrounded it. Of course, we're now swabbed before we go into hospital, and that is a lot more in control. But basically, anything you can do to reduce the routes to infection within a hospital setting are beneficial. It was thought that about 40% of cross-contamination occurred around the bedside. So that would be over bed tables, cabinets, seating, cubicle curtains, and of course the various instruments. So any additional protection to supplement the already robust infection control protocols within hospitals would help to reduce the routes to infection.
It sounds pretty high-tech stuff, this. I mean, without giving any industry secrets away, how does the technology work?
Well, it's quite, it's different from any other antimicrobial technology. The usual conventional antimicrobials are based, or what you would say are inorganic. So they're based on silver iron, zinc, copper, and these work by literally leaving the surface they're protecting, whether that's fabric or maybe paint or lacquers or laminates or carpets. You know, antimicrobials are in lots of substrates. So they work by leaving that substrate, entering the offensive microbe and chemically poisoning them. And that has two negatives to it. The conventional types have two negatives. One, it takes a time for that transmission to happen. That leaching from the substrate into the migraine takes time. The second disadvantage or lack of benefit is that as it leaves, it's obviously depleting the surface it was on. So as it gets used up, and a depleted dose is dangerous. It leaves you open to mutation. So those are the two distinct disadvantages of the conventional antimicrobials. Shield works differently. It stays on the fabric. It never leaves. It's there for the life of the fabric. And it works by penetrating the cell wall and electrocuting the biochemicals within it. Two benefits there. One, it happens almost instantaneously. And two, it's there for the life of the fabric.
All right, so got you. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a mechanical kill. You know, it's a stab and an electrocute rather. I mean, it's on a micro level, so you don't see this. But those are two massive benefits because it means it doesn't deplete, and therefore there isn't the potential for adaptive organisms.
But how do we know, Carmel? People listening to this would say, well, it sounds fascinating. It's in this level of ingenuity. But how do we know that it is resistant to coronavirus?
Well, we can't test COVID-19. This pernicious, nasty virus is too dangerous to put into commercial laboratories. What we do know, is that it works and it's similar enough to the coronavirus feline strain. So you would test for feline coronavirus, and then because the strains are so similar, you can read across the results. So that's happening for hand sanitizers, it's happening for detergents and cleaning products. They're all being tested against the SCV rather than COVID-19.
Got you. Now,
you wouldn't really want COVID-19 running riot within commercial laboratories around the world.
I can well understand that, yeah. And especially the scale of operations, because I believe, was it 10,000 metres were sent to Eastern Europe last week? So you're going big on this.
Yeah, our healthcare division is half of our business. It's where we began life. It's very important to us. We get a real sense of satisfaction from the innovation and from the problem solving that goes with it. We have a hospitality side which we enjoy. It's beautiful, it's aesthetically gorgeous, it's flame retardant, and it goes into some of the leading hotels in the world. But the innovation that it benefits from comes from the healthcare division.
It's vital right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Keep up the good work, you and your colleagues. It's been fascinating chatting
we'll
with
do
you.
Our very, very best. And if you've got any health workers out there, any key workers, not just health workers, because there are teachers and drivers, just our best wishes and our thanks. And we're glad we're doing something to contribute.
Carmel there, speaking with me a little earlier. Hapton-based firm, Panaz, making a difference. All the stories that matter, all the